Rolling sound, quiet. Here we go. Beating. 1.67. And starting right when action.
All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome to our panel on how to get a job in the industry here during the Lone Star Film Festival. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to this panel and let you know, too, that this is just one of many panels and opportunities to learn about the industry and learn about the films that are part of the festival here this year in our virtual film festival. If you haven't already, make sure to get a pass for the festival. You can buy it as a pass that'll let you see all the feature films or all the short films, or you can buy passes or to individual screenings as well. So please do check that out at the Lone Star Film Festival website. And be sure to share this video. If you learned something new today, please share it with your audience, and it will continue to be out there even if for those who aren't watching live right now. But to get us going here, I want to welcome our panelists in today. We have, going around here, a great sampling of really talented women across the state in our industry. And we're excited to give you all the exact secrets of how to guaranteed get a job today, so long as you watch this. No, just kidding. But yeah, we have Mindy Raymond, Rebecca Case, and Linda McAlister with us, and I just want to give them a chance to go around and introduce themselves and give a brief background to the audience here on how you each got started in the industry.
I'll start. Hi, I'm Mindy Raymond, and as Red said, I am with TXMPA, which is a nonprofit advocacy group that advocates for the film, TV, commercial, video game, and animation industries across the state of Texas. So kind of in a nutshell, I went to UT. I left UT for a few years and traveled to the different coasts. Got my feet wet in the industry in both New York and LA before coming back to Austin and made Austin my home in 2008. And very quickly, I just, I got connected, and we will definitely be talking about that today. But I've been here since '08. I've seen great just leaps and bounds improvements on everything that's happening in Texas. The industry is growing at a rapid rate here. So it's a very exciting time to be in the entertainment industry here in Texas, and I'm excited to talk about it more.
And I guess I'll jump in. I'm Rebecca Case. I am a freelance producer and production manager, and also the current president of the Dallas Producers Association, which is a nonprofit advocacy and networking group for production professionals in the North Texas area. And I got my start actually working for myself for a few years and being kind of a one-man band, shooting, editing, doing some very light motion graphics, stuff like that. And then I found my way into the agency world and did that for a few years. And I've been freelance again for another, 3 years or so now, working primarily in the commercial and corporate space and dabbling a bit in independent film.
And Linda? Linda,
okay, thank you. Sorry, internet issues. I'm Linda McAlister Talent. I've been an agent for 26 years, representing actors for film, TV, commercials, industrials, voiceover, live events. We cover the entire state plus regional. I am very proud to be on the board of Texas Motion Picture Alliance and a very proud member of Dallas Producers Association. And I love our film festivals and happy to be here. I actually got my start because my daughter wanted to become an actress, so I became an agent, but my heart was into producing. But since that was not, I'm very happy where I am now. So
well, that's great. Well, good to hear everyone's diverse backgrounds there in the industry and what you're doing now. And I think just to jump into it, what do you feel like resources are available out there to someone who's maybe new to the industry and just getting started?
Well, I mean, I guess I would just jump in and say, any group you can join is really going to be the best way to start meeting people And I know that that's challenging right now, but at least in the case of the DPA, we've taken all of our meetings to a virtual space. So there's still an opportunity to sign up and network with people that way. And I know that there are tons of online groups you can join where you can meet people. Various Facebook industry groups. But I've also found, I happen to become friends with production people that I've worked with or just have met organically. And I think that has been a great way for me to find opportunities, is because I think a lot of the other panelists will agree, is one of the best ways to find work is through people So sometimes just through a friendship, you can find opportunities to get brought on to gigs. So,
yeah, piggybacking on what you're saying. So I think obviously there's so many opportunities throughout Texas for organizations and groups, and whether you're in school right now too, I'm sure there's either alumni groups that you could be a part of. So just finding kind of those niches of where you're going into and what you want your career to be, finding those folks that are already doing that, and either finding out what group they're a part of and or organization, and connecting with them in that way. I think also obviously internships, a lot of companies do internships, and that's a great way to really get kind of your feet wet as well, being a part of those internship programs. It's not, as the saying goes, it's not what you know, but who you know. So find those meaningful relationships. I always say that I curate meaningful connections, because to me, that's the number one thing and the number one way that I've been able to make a living in this industry is through my connections, and making sure that I'm curating those, right? I'm not just becoming friends with everybody and going crazy on Facebook with 5,000 friends. I'm very much looking now more than ever actually on LinkedIn. So if you don't have a LinkedIn profile, get that up and going and find those connections on LinkedIn. But, figuring out who can I really have a personal connection with, how can I help them in their endeavors and what they're working on? And then, it always comes back to you as well. So always kind of looking at how can I be of service? How can I be of help? And then that way, that you're aligning yourself with those folks in the industry that you want to work with someday.
Yeah, and I know you all have referenced, trade groups and associations here. What are a few names in particular that people might search for? If you're watching this right now, get your pen, write these down, follow them on social.
TXMPA. TXMPA is number one. But also I'm part of the Women in Film and Television, the Austin chapter. And I know Dallas has a really amazing chapter up there as well. I am part of a group here called the Austin Entertainment Business that they do virtual events. So that's, you can find them on Facebook. Media ATX is a great organization. I know for more of the folks up in Dallas, I'm sure Rebecca can talk more to the groups up there, but I mean, man, there's just so many opportunities, particularly this day and age as people are doing virtual events. So you might be living in Dallas and or Fort Worth right now, but you can connect to folks in Austin and Houston and San Antonio. And our industry is very much a statewide industry. We go kind of where the work is. So we're not isolated to sort of this particular area. So find those other organizations in different parts of Texas that you can be a part of and start making those connections too.
Totally. And I just, as speaking for North Texas, I mean, Dallas Producers Association, obviously, but the Fort Worth Film Commission has a lot of events too. There is a Women in Film Dallas chapter. I'm trying to think what else there is. I know that there are others, but I just would say go to as many things as you can and start connecting with people. And you're right, Mindy, it's not just about like becoming friends with as many people as you possibly can, but forming meaningful relationships with people that you like working with, and even start doing and I guess there's a limit to how much you can do this, but start doing projects that maybe you're not even going to get paid for, that you're just working on with friends, so you can develop your skills, you can get comfortable being on a set, you can get comfortable with the process. So when you do get on a bigger set or whatever the case may be, that you've got a little bit of experience and kind of the inner workings of how that stuff should go.
And Linda, I want to throw it to you if you can hear us here. I don't know if there are any groups in particular for aspiring actors or actresses.
Yes, Thank you. I'm sorry, I'm trying to catch up here. I recommend when actors are starting out in the industry, about the last thing you're going to need is an agent. Or, networking is great, but first get into training. Training is essential before you need to show up on a set. You need to do networking. It's fine to do networking, but really don't network with producers and casting directors and agents till you're ready to be put into the mix on that. That's one of the most important things. Being a crew, and it's all part of the profession. It's part of your career. My resources I've got on my website for actors to seek out acting coaches. I'm happy to answer any questions that aspiring actors may have. But don't, again, for actors, it is good to network. I do absolutely recommend you join Texas Motion Picture Alliance, join Dallas Producers Association, Women in Film, join anything. But essentially, the main thing is seek training. Let your acting coach let you know when you're ready for an agent, so that the networking and the getting to build relationships is more important for your career, because you're really not ready to build those relationships until you know what you're doing. It's like anything else. It's nice to, internship, but you can't intern as an actor. You're going to have your chops ready going into it right away. So.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and maybe two more just to add in there is like if a lot of the industry here also revolves on commercial work, and two great groups that have presence in North Texas are AICP, the Association of Independent Commercial Producers, has a chapter here, and then both Dallas and Fort Worth have their own chapters for AAF, the American Advertising Federation. And all of those groups, as well as probably the ones that have been mentioned here, will do a lot of different, outreach days for either students or people just trying to break into the industry. I know we've hosted here at our Backlot studio, like students that come through on tours and as part of those days where it's kind of like a hop around or back whenever you did events with people, everyone would go from one business or one studio.
When did we have live events?
Yeah.
Back to that.
Well, cool. Well, this is great feedback so far. I want to move on. Mindy, why don't you tell us a little bit about the best ways you think to get experience? Because we've talked a lot about, the networking side and the associations to join, but how do you get that hands-on experience?
Sure. So speaking, because I kind of wear multiple hats as we all do in this industry, that's one thing. Wear multiple hats. Like I am an actor one day, and then I'm a producer the next day, and then I'm working in advocacy the day after that. So I think the more that you can sort of have your talents and what you're good at and what you enjoy doing, like it doesn't necessarily need to be a very strict lane that you stay in. Maybe you do though, and that's okay too. So I think it all goes back to just meeting those folks and getting, whether it is through training like Linda talked about for actors, and getting those connections through your acting coach or a school that you might be going to, and then being a part of the student productions, and just slowly, like you'll start to see your connections sort of coming together, and you'll find those pieces that all of a sudden you're like, oh, those dots do connect in a weird way that I never would have guessed. One of the great ways, though, I was thinking of this, one of the things that I did in college was I volunteered at film festivals. And now I know we're not doing live festivals at this point, but when the time does come and all this that opens up, I made some amazing lifelong friends that I'm still connected with, that I volunteered at the Austin Film Festival back in '98. Like these are people that are coming up in the industry together. So if you can, local film festivals like Lone Star Film Festival, get involved. Even though it's a virtual event, I'm sure there's ways to get involved and volunteer, and really just putting yourself out there as somebody that's hungry and you want to work and you're happy to work. Don't always work for free. I'm very much of like, we need to get paid for our work, and kind of stop sort of the idea of working too much on things that don't pay you. You can do that a little bit to build your resume and to build those connections, but at a certain point, making sure that you're asking for that compensation as well, and or being hired to do a particular job. So there's no one way in this industry that you're going to quote unquote make it. And none of us on this call have officially made it, I don't think. I think we're still always we're looking to that next goal. What's that next thing that we want to do? What is that next, project that we want to work on or achieve within the industry, which is the beauty of our industry, right? It's not like you go and you're in medical school and then you come out a doctor and that's what you do the rest of your life. We get this opportunity to create this life that we want to be in, and part of a creative process that we're in, which we're just, I feel so fortunate and blessed to be in the industry doing what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis, but it changes every day. So I don't know if I answered that exactly.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'd like to add that I was kind of starting out with new actors, but then obviously for experienced actors, absolutely they need to network as much as they can. But to get experience, I do recommend that new actors, please do not submit yourself before you get an agent on commercials. There's so many times that when I meet with new actors that haven't been in the industry very long, they've submitted themselves and booked commercials and don't realize the conflicts. They've accepted in perpetuity usage, lower pay, and it's conflicting them to actually do other commercials. So to gain experience, just like Mindy said, independent film, student film, give back to the industry as much as you can, but please, watch those commercials because you are going to conflict yourself. But there's so many great avenues and opportunities. Like we're very happy to post out to our actors through the agency, student films, independent films, even if you don't have much in your budget or no pay. It's a great way to gain experience, on-set experience, build your demo reel. Even for experienced actors, they love working on independent films, student films, film festival films. Let's face it, our film festivals are a huge part of our marketing, networking and distribution outlets. But gaining experience, absolutely, I would recommend actors, please don't work on commercials until you have an agent to guide you through that process, because you're really going to hurt your career on the long run on the commercial side.
Yeah, and sorry, I didn't mute my phone. It was an actor's manager calling about a deal where,
Great. How timely. Right on cue.
But no, that's really great advice. It's finding that balance between doing work to get experience for free, but not, doing so much of that you're getting taken advantage of. And Linda, correct me if I'm wrong, but best time to get an agent is when you do have a deal on the line. So, rather than if you go to an agent and you're like, hey, I've got this gig they want to book me for, will you represent me? Is that a good time to come in?
I had trouble hearing that. I do apologize. I'm having some sound issues. I get a lot of, let me get the gist of this. I get a lot of references from producers and referrals with great talent that they've worked with. And I do rely on referrals, and a lot of the resume that we do look at is, the demo reels have become, because we're such a visual industry, the demo reels have become as important as the resume, because we'd rather be entertained visually than have to sit there and read text. That's just the way it is in the industry. We're very creative, and so whatever that actor can bring to me, whatever that producer, can provide as far as for that actor to get an agent. Oh, I'm sorry, it's the best time to get an agent. I would say the best time to get an agent is when your acting coach tells you when you're ready to find an agent. Some producers have worked with brand new talent and they'll send me great talent. Casting directors have seen great talent in a workshop and have recommended them, saying, oh, they did great. They don't have anything on their resume, but they just get it, and there's this industry that acting is a natural ability, but being a natural actor, an innate, inherent, internal, get that skill that's when you need classes, because that's going to bring out and enhance that talent.
We lost her.
Right at the best moment.
Tell you the secret for success. Well, we'll get Linda back on here in a minute, but in the meantime, let's talk a little bit, Rebecca and Mindy, about first-time experiences on set and what people might expect from that. I'll share a shameless story of my first time on a big set in LA. Literally first day, I'm a PA, and the assistant director's like, hey, can you go get me a hot biscuit? And I was like, really? It's not even time for a meal, but I marched myself off to the catering truck and I was like, hey, I need to get a hot biscuit. And the cook's like, it's not time for lunch yet. And I was like, dude, just do it for me. It's my first day. The AD needs a hot biscuit. Can I get a biscuit heated up? And as I'm walking back to set with that biscuit, he comes over the walkie. He's like, Red, where's that hot biscuit? And I was like, I'm coming. And I had to go get it heated up. And he was like, what are you bringing me? And I walk around the corner with it, and everyone had a good laugh because a hot biscuit means a charged battery for his
That
walk.
is so funny. You were that guy. That is great.
Yeah, I'm that guy. So what other first time experiences can you share, either
Well,
self-experience
I think that's
or
a good
what
thing to
took
bring up because there is so much like jargon on a set and all of these things. And I mean, frankly, I would recommend that, you search for, film set language or whatever, whatever the better search term for that would be, and just kind of like read an internet article that has some of that stuff so you can kind of have a fundamental understanding. But like, don't be afraid if somebody gives you a request that you do not understand or you think sounds weird, to just clarify, let me make sure I understand what you need. And I think as long as you listen and try to communicate as clearly as you can about, where you are and making sure that you understand things, and then just to have a sense of urgency. That's like the biggest thing when I bring somebody on a set who doesn't have a ton of experience. As long as they're like there and they're ready to go do stuff and they're moving quickly and they're trying to understand, like that's crucial. That's crucial. So I mean, that's I think the biggest thing is just, knowing you got to be quiet, as especially when we're rolling. But other than that, just be ready,
I highly recommend. I don't know if I can do this, but there's a book. Can you see this?
Get Real.
Get Realisms. And it's like literally the jargon of the film set that everyone needs to know. And it's anime, it's got great pictures to it, but it's like for 101, just Red, you should have had this.
I know. I'm so old now. It was before books.
Right. Yeah, I mean, fortunately, I don't have an experience like that, Red. But I think when you're on set, just being helpful, even as whether you're an actor or on the crew side, like you want to make sure that things are running smoothly. You're not getting in people's ways. You're not asking questions that are unnecessary just to sort of get in somebody's line of sight. Like, don't be bugging the director on something that's really not necessary when they've got so many other things. But you're like the actor that's like, look at me. Like, just go do your job, do the best you can at your job, and be helpful, but also, like you said, when it's quiet on the set, like be quiet on the set.
Can I add something about paperwork on set? Because sometimes agents aren't really on set, so we don't always get gist for what's going to happen on set. But what I do have to caution actors is please don't sign paperwork without letting your agent see it first, because there's sometimes things are kind of slipped in that maybe have not been part of the whole casting agreement. So we need to see all the paperwork, because we seldom get the paperwork ahead of time. So one of the biggest mistakes is for actors to just assume that agents have seen the paperwork and sign. After they sign in, the little PA says, here, you need to sign this, and your agent has approved. Mostly we have not. So we've never seen the paperwork. So please make sure you take a cell phone pic, send it to your agent, text it, and let us check it out, because it can avoid issues for the production company as well as the talent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a great point. I'm glad you brought that up. I mean, because if you're ever on set or at any time in your career and you feel like someone's pressuring you to sign something, maybe there's even more of a reason than to say, pause, let me review this. I'll get it back to you tomorrow or whatever. Because I mean, legally, people should give you time to review that. You shouldn't just be expected to sign away things as soon as you show up. So that's a good point. And I guess in another kind of cautionary area there, like what are experiences like? How should people know when maybe something isn't right or totally above board, and how should they feel empowered to say something about that? Because there's definitely been issues in our industry as well as many others where people either get taken advantage of or discriminated on because they're younger and just getting started. So what are some red flags to look out for there?
How much time do we have?
Yeah.
I mean, go ahead, Rebecca. Sorry.
I mean, I was just going to say, if it feels unsafe to you or it feels weird, just don't do it, and ask somebody, or talk to a UPM, talk to a producer, say, hey, whatever, fill in the blank, because there are myriad of ways that our industry can be unsafe. But just say something. Don't feel pressured to do something. And frankly, if it's a situation where you think you might lose the gig, or you have to do this thing that you think is unsafe, like, just lose the gig, like don't risk it, because it's just not worth it. It's not worth it.
I agree. I've encouraged my talent to please call me. I don't care if it's in the middle of the night, if it's paperwork, if they're asked to do something that was not part of the casting agreement, whether it was a commercial, film, or television. Because sometimes, let's face it, the writers, especially in a film and TV, even a commercial, sometimes they'll change the whole script in the middle of the night. And so talent shows up prepared to do one thing, and then all of a sudden, boom, they're asked to do something else. So since that was a part of the plan, if the actor's uncomfortable, even if they are comfortable, agents need to know. So I encourage my actors, I don't care if it's an overnight shoot, 3:00 in the morning, I sleep with my phones. I mean, they're there, and I'm there to protect you. I hate for actors to walk from a set, but I've had to tell them, please do walk because of unsafe situations, especially during this age of COVID. If they feel like it's not COVID mitigation, then they definitely need to remove themselves from a dangerous situation or a very unpleasant or a harassment situation, for sure.
Absolutely.
Well, and you mentioned COVID, which kind of leads us to our next topic here, which is, the whole talk of this is how to get a job in the industry. Well, now how to get a job in the industry in the COVID era that we're in, and how should people go about navigating kind of the new world of COVID production?
Unfortunately, we're working, right? Like, there's so much work that's happening in Texas right now. I'm sure y'all are seeing it. I had a conversation with somebody out of 800 union workers on crew, 600 are working right now. Like, there is a lot of production that is happening. A ton of commercials particularly are coming into Texas. So I think right now, like, obviously being sharp on your skills, being mindful of everything that's going on that set, knowing what those protocols are. I know it's long and tedious, but read the protocols for both your state and your city of where you're going to be filming. SAG-AFTRA, if it's a union project, they have protocols in place too. So I think we have to just be really smart in how we're working right now. The jobs are out there. I'm sure there's directories and job hotlines on both the Texas Film Commission site and most of the regional film commission sites. So finding those jobs, obviously working with people you've worked with in the past, but just be hyper sensitive and hyper aware of the surroundings and what how you're working and how the set is being run.
Well, and also in line with that, one thing that I always recommend to people that are starting out or trying to network is to set up like a one-on-one, either a call or try to meet somebody for coffee. Obviously, you can't really meet people for coffee right now, or maybe you can outside if you agree to a place that you feel comfortable with or whatever. But like setting up those one-on-one connections with people that you meet and forming more meaningful relationships where they can then think of you when an opportunity pops up that you might be good for. I mean, that's like the best way to do it. So I would still like reach out to people and just be like, hey, can we set up a Zoom call or a phone call, or can I meet you outside 6 feet away from you to talk to you? But follow up with people after you meet them organically or in a networking event, and just try to form those more meaningful relationships.
Mm-hmm. That seems to be what a lot of casting directors are now. We're kind of in the age of not live auditions, but Zoom auditions, EcoCast live auditions through the casting sites, to where they can actually redirect the actors. It's kind of nice not to have to move and get up unless you're having internet issues. Move and go to a live event or a meeting when there's this one-on-one on Zoom, and it is very time efficient. And as far as actors go, because obviously we're such a global and beyond LA and New York now and Texas, and they're auditioning on Zoom, the callback with the director and producers on Zoom or StreamYard or Google Meet or whatever. Even the casting sites have EcoCast Live, where you can actually do a live audition. And some of the shows out of LA, Emergency Call. All the actors are voiceover, and they're using like B-roll footage to kind of reenact live emergency 911 calls. And then there's a couple of shows that have become like the Brady Bunch, to where they're doing little fun, like kids shows that are doing little fun. They're shooting from the actor's home. So it's gotten very creative in this time. So there's still plenty of work. And in the COVID issues, I think we're all having to relearn how to do this industry. So.
Great. Well, and I think maybe one other thing as we wrap up here, I've seen some people doing is like, PA work obviously is a great entry-level position, but if you can go out and do that 30-minute or 45-minute, there's a lot of different websites that are training in kind of the COVID protocols. So you can also say like, hey, I've gone through COVID training system X, and I got this little stamp to prove it. That can help too, since there's a lot of PA roles that are taking a key role on set of keeping everyone safe and sanitized.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, cool. Well, I mean, any last remarks before we wrap up here on maybe an idea on something we didn't talk about that you feel
I'm really hopeful and optimistic about where our industry is going in Texas. I feel like we've got a really great opportunity right now that we can seize. So I continue everyone to stay positive on set. It's real easy for negative things to, spread quickly, but let's keep it positive and just continue to do the work and lift each other up. And, stay tuned. We have legislative session coming up, so get involved. We want to
absolutely
for Texas.
There's a lot of work coming to Texas. The industry has really picked up. A lot of film and TV commercials have really almost been nonstop. Industrials, tons of voiceovers and video games. Very happy to see all that. So Texas is prime for even growing more in this industry. So hope our legislators remember that.
Well, great. Well, thank you all again for being part of the panel today. And I just want to remind everyone that's watching this, stay tuned throughout the rest of the festival here at Lone Star. There's going to be lots of other great talks like this where you can learn more about the industry. There's also Q&As with the filmmakers of a lot of the films and even some of our special guests. And so all of this kind of learning content's free to access, but I encourage you to go onto Lone Star's website and either get an individual screening ticket. I think they're $5 or $10, depending on whether it's a short or feature film, or you can get an all-access pass for $50. So go check that out and watch the other films at your leisure from the safety of your home. And like I said, if you learned something today, please do share this video with others. It's going to stay up in the interwebs, I think, probably forever. So, but yeah, again, thank you so much, Linda, Rebecca, and Mindy for being part of this.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.